During that time, we see the fantastic elaboration of agriculture in Turkey. I asked Klaus Schmidt about that. I said, do you think Göbekli Tepe had a part in that? He said, yes, absolutely. Göbekli Tepe was a center of innovation.
Ever wondered what went on inside those magnificent pyramids of ancient Egypt? Well, buckle up, because we're about to delve into the fascinating world of the ancient pyramid texts. These inscriptions carved onto the pyramid walls around 2400 to 2300 BCE are like a window into the hearts and minds of the people who built these incredible structures. These texts weren't just random scribbles, they were meticulously crafted during a pivotal period in Egyptian history, the twilight of the Old Kingdom. This era is famous for the iconic pyramids, those towering tombs for pharaohs. The pyramids themselves are a testament to the Egyptians' architectural genius and their deep understanding of math and engineering. But the pyramid texts are more than just historical footnotes. They're the earliest known religious writings from Egypt, offering a glimpse into the beliefs and practices of this ancient civilization. They're like cultural snapshots, showing how art, architecture, and religion were all woven together. The pyramids themselves were seen as the ultimate expression of both religious devotion and the pharaoh's supreme power. Speaking of power, the pharaohs of the Old Kingdom weren't just seen as leaders, they were considered living gods. This concept of divine kingship was the glue that held society together, justifying the pharaoh's absolute authority. The pyramid texts are all about this. They're basically spells and instructions meant to help the pharaoh navigate the afterlife and join the gods, further solidifying the idea of their godlike status. Imagine a society where the pharaoh is at the top of the pyramid, wielding immense power. That's exactly what the Old Kingdom was like. This centralized system allowed them to mobilize the massive resources and manpower needed to build the pyramids. It also meant the government had a tight grip on things, controlling people and resources to a great extent. But running a complex society like this wasn't a walk in the park. It required a well-oiled bureaucratic machine, and that's what the Egyptians had. This network of officials kept things running smoothly, organizing labor, managing resources, and handling the countless details of daily life. It was a sophisticated system for a sophisticated society. We've talked about the cultural significance of the pyramid texts and the social structure of the Old Kingdom, but how did they manage to pull off such massive building projects? Building a pyramid wasn't like putting together a piece of IKEA furniture. It required serious resources and manpower. Imagine this: hauling giant blocks of stone, transporting them for miles, and feeding a whole army of workers for years on end. That's what the Egyptians had to do to build the pyramids. It was a massive undertaking, requiring a well-oiled economic engine. Here's where things get interesting. Contrary to popular belief, the pyramids weren't built by slaves, but by a paid workforce. These workers were likely skilled laborers, artisans, and even seasonal workers, and they were treated pretty well. We found evidence of medical care, food, and even some form of compensation. So how could they afford all this? The answer lies in a concept called economic surplus. Basically, they had enough resources left over after taking care of basic needs like food and shelter to invest in these grand projects. This surplus came from their mastery of agriculture thanks to the Nile River's annual floods. These floods enriched the land and allowed them to grow more food than they needed to survive, freeing up people to work on other things like, you guessed it, building pyramids. But the pyramids are more than just piles of stone, they're symbols too. Many believe they represent the rays of the sun, a pathway for the pharaoh's soul to reach the heavens. This symbolism is deeply connected to the pyramid texts, which are filled with references to the sun god Ra. It all goes back to the Egyptians' belief system, where religion, royalty, and the universe were all interconnected. Speaking of connections, the pyramid texts are like the great-grandparents of later Egyptian religious texts. They paved the way for things like the coffin texts and the Book of the Dead. These later texts show how Egyptian beliefs evolved over time, adapting and becoming more accessible to people beyond just the pharaohs. So we've explored the economic engine behind the pyramids and the deeper meaning they hold. But let's not forget the pyramids themselves. They weren't just giant piles of stone. They were meticulously designed and built with a specific purpose in mind. Imagine these pyramids as giant tombs, built to house the bodies and possessions of pharaohs after they passed away. But they weren't just storage units. They were designed to help the pharaoh's soul on its journey to the afterlife. And that's where the pyramid texts come in. These inscriptions were like a guidebook for the pharaoh's soul, offering spells and protection every step of the way. The most famous pyramid containing these texts belongs to Unas, the last ruler of the 5th dynasty. His pyramid, located in Saqqara, was the first to include these inscriptions, paving the way for future pharaohs to follow suit. Think of it like a new trend. Once Unas did it, other pharaohs like Teti, Pepi I, and even Pepi II decided they wanted pyramid texts too. These texts weren't just scribbled on any old piece of papyrus. They were painstakingly carved into the very walls of the pyramids by skilled artisans. Imagine the dedication and precision it took to etch those intricate hieroglyphs into stone. This not only shows the skill of the craftsman, but also highlights the importance of the texts themselves. They were considered so sacred and valuable that they deserved a permanent and prominent place within the pyramids. Speaking of sacredness, these texts were like the holy scripts of their time. They contained spells, prayers, and hymns, all designed to ensure the pharaoh's safe passage to the afterlife and even his transformation into a god. The fact that they were placed inside the pyramids, which were themselves seen as sacred spaces, further emphasizes their importance. But here's the interesting part. Initially, these texts were an exclusive club. Only the pharaohs got to enjoy their benefits, further solidifying their divine status in society. It kind of reflects the hierarchical structure of the time, where access to certain religious practices and texts was restricted to the privileged few. However, things eventually changed. Over time, the concepts and spells found in the pyramid texts started to trickle down to the broader Egyptian population. This led to the development of the coffin texts, and later the famous Book of the Dead. These later texts mark a turning point, making spells and rituals for the afterlife more accessible, not just for the pharaohs but for regular people too. So the pyramid texts, originally exclusive to the pharaohs, became the seed for a more democratic approach to the afterlife in ancient Egypt. Now, imagine unearthing a piece of history that rewrites what we know about writing. That's exactly what happened in the 1920s when the Kish tablet was discovered in the ancient city of Kish, Mesopotamia. This wasn't just any clay tablet. It was a game changer, offering a glimpse into the very origins of writing and the fascinating society that developed it. Kish was no ordinary town. Located along the Euphrates River, it was a bustling hub of trade, politics, and culture, attracting people from far and wide. This melting pot of cultures likely played a key role in the birth of writing, as different people brought their own symbols and ways of record-keeping, eventually leading to the development of proto-cuneiform script. The discovery of the Kish tablet itself is a story of collaboration. Archaeologists from the Field Museum of Natural History, led by Stephen Langdon, joined forces with other experts to uncover the secrets of Kish. Back then, excavation techniques were evolving, becoming more systematic and meticulous, which was crucial for carefully preserving and documenting this historic find. But what's so special about this tablet? Well, the writing system on it is like a Rosetta Stone of the ancient world. It's one of the earliest examples of written communication, showcasing the transition from picture-based symbols to the complex wedge-shaped script known as cuneiform. This shift reflects the growing complexity of Sumerian society, as people needed new ways to keep track of things. The creation and use of the Kish tablet also hint at a well-organized society. Imagine a city-state managing resources, governing its people, and even engaging in trade with other regions. Writing wasn't just about leaving messages, it was essential for recording transactions, laws, and important decisions. But the impact of writing goes beyond practicalities. It opened doors for cultural expression and the preservation of knowledge. With writing, the Sumerians could record their myths, laws, and historical events, ensuring they weren't lost to time. This paved the way for the rich literary traditions that flourished in the ancient Near East. The Kish tablet is a reminder that writing wasn't just a random invention. It was a necessity for keeping complex societies running smoothly. It also opened doors for cultural exchange and the preservation of knowledge across generations. This discovery continues to spark debates among scholars, with some questioning whether writing originated independently in Mesopotamia or was influenced by other cultures. The mystery surrounding the exact function and content of the tablet adds to its allure. making it a captivating piece of history that continues to captivate archaeologists and historians alike.
Dude, they killed 10% of the population of Earth while he was alive.
They had a lot of things going for them. They had strategy, first of all. They had devious, wild strategies.
They killed so many people that they affected the carbon footprint of human beings on Earth.
Driving towards Ordos City in Inner Mongolia, China, you're bound to notice the striking mausoleum of Genghis Khan. Rebuilt in the 1950s to honor the legendary Mongol leader, this traditional Mongol-style complex is a focal point for those who wish to pay their respects to a man whose empire once spanned from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. Yet, intriguingly, the mausoleum doesn't actually hold Genghis Khan's remains. It's a cenotaph, a monument to someone whose final resting place lies elsewhere. This fact alone adds an air of mystery to the figure of Genghis Khan, a ruler of immense power and reach, yet whose burial site remains a secret to this day.
There's like a considerable decrease in the carbon layer on Earth when Genghis Khan was alive.
Genghis Khan, born Temujin, came from humble beginnings near the sacred mountain of Burkhan Khaldun in what is now Mongolia. His early years were marked by poverty and danger, but these hardships shaped him into the formidable leader he would become. Burkhan Khaldun wasn't just a mountain to him, it was a sanctuary, a place to connect with the sky god Tengri and a hunting ground that provided refuge and solace. It's said that during one of his hunting trips he found such beauty in the view that he wished to be buried there upon his death. The end of Genghis Khan's life came in the summer of 1227, somewhere along the upper Yellow River. Even in his late 60s, Khan was actively expanding his empire, subduing the Tangut kingdom. Details about his death are scarce and shrouded in mystery, largely due to the Mongolian taboo surrounding illness and death. The secret history of the Mongols, our primary source for his life, is notably silent on the specifics of his passing, leaving us with more questions than answers. Genghis Khan's desire for a humble and unmarked grave, as per his wishes, speaks volumes about his character. Despite his vast empire and unmatched power, he sought simplicity in death, echoing his roots and the itinerant lifestyle of his youth. "Let my body die, but let my nation live," he reportedly said, underscoring his vision for Mongolia's enduring legacy over his own memorialization. This blend of humility and mystery makes the story of Genghis Khan's final resting place all the more captivating, a testament to a life that, while immensely documented, still holds secrets yet to be uncovered.
What's crazy is that was like one of the superpowers of the world that everyone was terrified of, the Mongol Empire.
The mystery surrounding the death of Genghis Khan is as vast and varied as the empire he once ruled. Over the years, tales about his demise have ranged from the believable to the downright bizarre. An early European emissary to the Mongols once claimed that the Great Khan was struck down by lightning. On the other hand, the famed traveler Marco Polo recounted that an arrow wound to the knee was the cause of Genghis Khan's death. There are darker tales too, suggesting he was poisoned, fell victim to a magic spell from the Tangut king, or met a particularly grim end at the hands of the Tangut queen. Despite these colorful stories, the preparation for his burial was reportedly far less sensational. Genghis Khan's wife, Yesui, is said to have dressed him in a simple white robe, felt boots, and a hat, wrapping his body in a white felt blanket scented with sandalwood and bound with golden straps. The funeral procession that carried him back to Mongolia was marked by a riderless horse bearing his empty saddle, symbolizing the loss of the leader. Yet some versions of the story take a darker turn, detailing how the soldiers accompanying his body on the 40-day journey back to Mongolia left a trail of death in their wake, killing every living being they encountered to protect the secret of the grave's location. It's even said that once Genghis Khan was buried in his unmarked grave, 1,000 horsemen rode over the site to obscure it further, after which those horsemen and then the soldiers who killed them were also killed in a chilling sequence of events aimed at ensuring the grave's secrecy.
Sound evidence that Genghis Khan's DNA is present in about 16 million men alive today.
Among the more poignant tales is the one involving a baby camel buried with the Khan, so its mother would forever mark the location of his grave, ensuring that Genghis Khan's family could always find him. Another story draws parallels with ancient burials, suggesting that a river was diverted to cover his grave, echoing the burials of historical figures like the Sumerian king Gilgamesh and the Visigothic king Alaric. The truth about how Genghis Khan died may forever be shrouded in mystery, with each story adding to the legend of a figure who, even in death, continues to captivate and intrigue. Yet amidst the swirl of claims and counterclaims, there's one intriguing piece of evidence that stands out: the Great Taboo, or Ich Korig. Following Genghis Khan's death, an expansive area around Burkhan Khaldun, covering about 93 square miles, was declared strictly off-limits, with death as the penalty for trespassers, barring the Khan's family needing to bury another relative. This sacred prohibition could be seen as a diversion, a centuries-old feint to protect the true location of his grave. Entrusted to the Darkhad tribe, exempt from taxes and military duty in return for their silence, this taboo was fiercely protected until Mongolia's transition to a People's Republic in 1924. For centuries, this region remained untouched, a pristine snapshot of the 13th century, undisturbed by human activity, save for the trails left by wild animals. Even the communists, wary of igniting Mongolian nationalism, labeled it a highly restricted area, wrapping it in military secrecy, air bases, and artillery ranges. Interestingly, Stalin's obsession with finding Genghis Khan's grave, part of his broader fascination with Asia's great conquerors, led to several unsuccessful expeditions to Burkhan Khaldun.
Went on to form this empire that to this day is one of the most frightening forces in the history of humanity.
It's said that when Timur's tomb was opened by the Soviets, a curse was unleashed, marking the beginning of the Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union. Only after Timur's reburial did the Soviets see a turn in their fortunes at Stalingrad, suggesting perhaps a stroke of luck in not locating Genghis Khan's grave. With the end of communism in Mongolia in the late 1980s, restrictions on the highly restricted area eased, drawing foreign archaeologists eager to solve the mystery of Genghis Khan's missing grave. In the early 90s, a Mongolian-Japanese team employing ultrasound technology uncovered over 1,300 burial sites of Mongol nobility in the region, a testament to the enduring fascination and respect for the Khan's legacy. The quest to find Genghis Khan's final resting place continues to captivate the world, a puzzle waiting to be solved in the vast, untouched landscapes of Mongolia. The quest to uncover the final resting place of Genghis Khan has led many to speculate that he might be buried near the lofty peaks of Burkhan Khaldun. Yet, the idea of actually digging into the sacred soil to find out seems unthinkable to many Mongolians. The notion of disturbing their national hero's peace is, to put it mildly, deeply unpopular. In a twist of fate, the protection of this revered site has shifted from the hands of tribal guardians and communist enforcers to an international safeguarding body. The area around Burkhan Khaldun has been embraced by a new guardian, UNESCO. Recognized as a World Heritage Site, the sacred mountain and its vast untouched environs now fall under the designation of the Burkhan Khaldun Sacred Mountain and the surrounding Khan Kenti strictly protected area, spanning an impressive 4,740 square miles. This designation ensures that the mountain, sacred to so many, is preserved from undue human impact. Only worship rituals are permitted on Burkhan Khaldun itself, with all other activities traditionally barred. Finding detailed information about Khan Kenti or even a map of the protected area can be surprisingly challenging. The UNESCO website offers one of the few glimpses into the region, hinting at a deliberate effort to keep this area under wraps. It seems as though there's a collective will, perhaps even echoing the wishes of Genghis Khan himself, to keep the sanctity of this place intact, shrouded in mystery and respect.
By all accounts, we are looking, if we take what's still under the ground into account, we're looking at the largest megalithic site that's ever been created on Earth.
Göbekli Tepe is a site that truly boggles the mind, taking us back over 11,000 years to a time when prehistoric peoples demonstrated remarkable capabilities that challenge our understanding of early human civilization.
The sudden appearance, 7,000 years before Stonehenge, of a megalithic site that dwarfs Stonehenge, to me that's a mystery, and it's really worth inquiring into.
Imagine this. Massive stone pillars, each carved from limestone using nothing more than simple stone tools. It's a task that would require not just considerable skill, but a collective effort from a group of people who had yet to discover the wheel or metal tools. These pillars weren't just any stones, they were shaped into T-forms, a design that's unique to Göbekli Tepe, standing up to 5.5 meters tall and weighing up to 20 tons.
One of the many ways that Göbekli Tepe, I think, is going to prove to be a game changer is it's going to require us to reconsider our whole dating sequence on megalithic sites around the world.
The effort to transport and erect these massive stones without modern technology is nothing short of astonishing. Using levers, ropes, and wooden sledges, the people of Göbekli Tepe managed to move these enormous stones over considerable distances, a testament to their ingenuity and teamwork. This wasn't a small feat, it required a high level of social organization and cooperation, suggesting that this community was far from the nomadic bands of hunter-gatherers we often imagine.
But why did archaeologists tell us for so long hunter-gatherers couldn't do it, and we needed agricultural populations that could generate surpluses that could pay for the specialists
that was the theory.
Instead, they were capable of complex planning and communal effort, likely driven by shared beliefs and common goals. The technological innovation and architectural planning evident in Göbekli Tepe's construction are truly ahead of their time. The precision in the carving and erection of the pillars, along with the thoughtful layout of the site, show an advanced understanding of stone masonry and basic engineering principles. This sophistication challenges the simplistic view we often have of prehistoric societies, revealing a people capable of complex thought and remarkable feats of engineering. When you dive into the story of Göbekli Tepe, you're not just exploring ancient ruins, you're stepping into a world where prehistoric peoples pulled off engineering marvels that would be daunting even by today's standards. Picture this, a community back in the 10th millennium BCE without access to metal tools, the wheel, or any form of animal labor, decides to build something extraordinary. They set their sights on massive limestone pillars, each one towering over 5 meters high and weighing around 10 tons. And they decide to quarry, shape, transport, and erect these giants using nothing but stone hammers, wooden tools, and sheer human will. It's a scenario that might make a modern engineer blink twice. These ancient builders leveraged ingenious methods, likely rolling these colossal stones over logs or dragging them on sleds made from tree trunks, all coordinated by what must have been an incredible communal effort. Just imagine the sight, hundreds of people coming together, each one playing a part in this monumental task. It wasn't just about physical strength, it required a high degree of planning, coordination, and social organization, suggesting that these early communities were far more complex than we often give them credit for. And let's talk about the layout of Göbekli Tepe. It wasn't a haphazard arrangement of stones.
Göbekli Tepe is a bit more nuanced. You know, we have stone circles, we have some interesting astronomical alignments, the world's first perfectly north-south aligned building.
These T-shaped pillars were carefully positioned to form circular enclosures, a testament to the builders' advanced planning and knowledge of stonemasonry. They understood the properties of limestone, knew how to quarry large blocks and shape them with precision. The placement of each pillar was intentional, reflecting a deep understanding of geometry and structural engineering. Göbekli Tepe is like a time capsule that's slowly revealing its secrets to us, and among its most captivating mysteries are the potential astronomical alignments hidden within its ancient stone circles. Imagine standing among these massive pillars over 10,000 years ago, looking up at the night sky. Some researchers think that the people who built Göbekli Tepe did more than just admire the stars. They aligned their monumental structures with them. The idea that these ancient builders could align their creations with constellations like Sirius or Orion, or mark the solstices and equinoxes, is mind-blowing. It suggests they were not just master builders, but also early astronomers, tracking the heavens with an accuracy that challenges our assumptions about prehistoric peoples. This possibility opens up all sorts of fascinating questions about how and why they did this. If the alignments at Göbekli Tepe were intentional, it could mean that these ancient builders had their own form of astronomical observation, maybe even a basic calendar system. Göbekli Tepe and the lack of evidence for permanent settlement presents a fascinating glimpse into the spiritual life of people over 11,000 years ago. This site, rather than serving as a home or village, appears to have been a significant ceremonial or pilgrimage destination. The absence of typical domestic remains such as extensive cooking hearths or trash pits that would indicate long-term habitation suggests that Göbekli Tepe was not a place where people lived year-round. Instead, it was likely visited by various groups for specific purposes, possibly related to religious or spiritual practices. This realization points to a level of social complexity and spiritual or religious depth that predates the advent of agriculture and settled life, challenging the conventional sequence of societal development. The stone pillars of Göbekli Tepe, carved with an impressive array of reliefs and symbols, are among the earliest known examples of narrative art, offering profound insights into the prehistoric mind. These carvings feature a diverse menagerie of animals: foxes, lions, bulls, snakes, wild boars, and birds, each meticulously rendered, suggesting a deep reverence or symbolic significance attached to these creatures. The presence of such carvings indicates not only advanced artistic skills and aesthetic sensibilities, but also suggests these animals held particular meanings for the people who created them. They could represent clan totems, spiritual guides, or mythological stories central to the community's beliefs and rituals. Moreover, the humanoid figures, some of which appear to be depicted wearing animal skins, hint at early forms of shamanistic practices, or the veneration of deities or priests donned in ceremonial garb. These figures could represent intermediaries between the physical world and the spiritual realm, playing crucial roles in the rituals and ceremonies conducted at the site. The abstract symbols found alongside the more representational carvings add another layer of complexity to our understanding of Göbekli Tepe's spiritual significance. These symbols could be early attempts at encoding sacred knowledge, marking significant events, or conveying complex concepts related to cosmology, theology, or social order. The carvings on Göbekli Tepe's pillars, therefore, are not merely decorative, but are deeply imbued with meaning, serving as a tangible connection to the beliefs, rituals, and cosmologies of prehistoric peoples. They provide a window into a world where spirituality was expressed through the medium of stone, and where the natural and supernatural realms were closely intertwined. The story of Göbekli Tepe is like something out of a movie, an ancient site buried under tons of soil and debris around 8000 BCE, only to be rediscovered and shake up everything we thought we knew about the dawn of civilization. This wasn't just a case of a lost city getting swallowed up by the sands of time. It was an intentional act, a massive project that likely took as much effort and organization as the construction of the site itself. Why would a society go through such lengths to bury this place? The theories are as fascinating as they are varied, ranging from ritualistic closure to a strategic move for preservation against natural disasters or even invasions. But here's the kicker. Göbekli Tepe turns the Neolithic Revolution's narrative on its head. The common story is that agriculture kick-started the rise of complex societies and monumental architecture.
The idea that we come across that another turn of the spade reveals information that causes us to reconsider not just was it hunter-gatherers or agriculturalists, but perhaps something bigger than this is involved.
Yet here we have an elaborate complex built by hunter-gatherers long before farming took hold. It suggests that the impulse to gather for religious or ceremonial reasons might have been a driving force behind settling down and forming communities. This discovery forces us to rethink not just the timeline of human history, but the very factors that drive societal development. Göbekli Tepe shows us that hunter-gatherer societies were capable of a level of organization, cooperation, and spiritual expression that we usually only attribute to settled farming communities. It hints at a world where shared beliefs and rituals were the glue that held societies together, potentially paving the way for the transition to a sedentary lifestyle.
Conqueror of empires. In the annals of history, one name stands above all others.
Alexander the Great had conquered and created the largest land-based empire the world has ever seen.
Picture this. The legendary Alexander the Great, dead at the young age of 32. Instead of leaving clear instructions about his final resting place, he left behind a mystery that has baffled explorers and historians for centuries. His tomb, often referred to as the Holy Grail of archaeology, has been the subject of countless searches, all ending in frustration. So what happened to Alexander's body after his death? The story goes like this. After Alexander passed away in 323 BCE, his powerful friends started fighting over his vast empire, eventually tearing it apart to build their own kingdoms. One of these friends, Ptolemy Soter, wasn't a major player during Alexander's reign, but he eventually gained control of Egypt and established a dynasty that lasted for centuries. Now, the details about Alexander's burial wishes are murky. His appointed successor planned to send the body back to Macedon, but it never arrived. Ptolemy, seeing an opportunity, intercepted the body in Syria and redirected it to Egypt. At the time, Ptolemy was ruling from Memphis, as Alexandria, the city he would later make famous, was still under construction. This meant Alexander got a temporary tomb near Memphis while his final resting place was being figured out. Fast forward to the 19th century, and archaeologists stumble upon a temple dedicated to Pharaoh Nectanebo II near Saqqara, south of Memphis. This pharaoh was the last native ruler of Egypt before the Persians took over in 340 BCE. Some archaeologists, like Andrew Chugg, believe this temple might have been Alexander's original temporary tomb in Memphis. Here's why. The temple was relatively new when Ptolemy needed a place to bury Alexander, and it was likely the most recent grand non-Persian building around. Plus, there was even a spare royal sarcophagus that belonged to Nectanebo. It seems like the perfect temporary resting place for a legendary conqueror, right next to the seat of Ptolemy's power. Adding fuel to the fire, archaeologists also found statues dating back to Ptolemy's reign near the temple, suggesting some royal attention was paid to the site. There's even an ancient, far-fetched story claiming Nectanebo was Alexander's father, which might have sprung up due to Alexander's connection to the pharaoh's tomb. The Soma, Alexander's grand tomb, was once a major tourist attraction, drawing visitors from all corners of the world. But then, it vanished without a trace. The last confirmed sighting of the tomb was during a visit by the Roman Emperor Caracalla in 215 CE. He even took some souvenirs but supposedly replaced them with his own gifts. After that, mentions of the tomb and Alexander's body become scarce. There are a few hints, though. A writer named Libanius claims to have seen Alexander's mummy on display around 390 CE. This timeline coincides with the Theodosian decrees, which shut down pagan temples across the Roman Empire. The Soma, being a shrine dedicated to the deified Alexander, likely fell victim to these laws. Saint Cyril of Alexandria even mentions the stripping of treasures from Alexander's cult centers around this time, though the tomb itself isn't explicitly mentioned. Fast forward to the 400 CE, and another writer, St. John Chrysostom, drops a bombshell. Both the body and the tomb are now lost. Finding the tomb is no easy feat. Alexandria is a bustling city today, making large-scale excavations nearly impossible. Plus, there's a chance the tomb was simply destroyed over time, or even swallowed by the shifting sea levels. Another complication: was Alexander even buried in the Soma in the first place? It wasn't uncommon for bodies to be moved in ancient Egypt. Maybe Alexander was relocated to a secret location, making the search for the Soma itself a bit of a red herring. So, the quest for Alexander's tomb is more like a multi-pronged approach. One path involves finding the ancient crossroads of Alexandria, which might offer clues to the Soma's location. Local legends also point to a specific area, but without concrete evidence, it's like chasing shadows. The hunt for Alexander's tomb has led treasure hunters and archaeologists on a wild goose chase for centuries, with several contenders emerging along the way. One such contender is the Nebi Daniel Mosque, located just a stone's throw from the suspected location of the ancient crossroads. Back in 1850, a famous archaeologist even tried but failed to get permission to excavate there. While scholars doubt the mosque is the actual tomb, its claim likely stems from a genuine historical memory of the Soma being nearby. Across town, the Atarine Mosque also throws its hat in the ring, having attracted the attention of Napoleon's archaeologists in the 18th century. They didn't find Alexander, but they did stumble upon a repurposed sarcophagus. Guess whose? Nectanebo II, the pharaoh who ruled Egypt before the Persians took over. This discovery is intriguing. How did the Atarine Mosque end up with this specific sarcophagus, and so close to the estimated location of the tomb? It seems like more than just a coincidence. While the Atarine Mosque isn't the Soma itself, the presence of the sarcophagus and its proximity to the suspected location are promising signs. The search, however, doesn't stop in Alexandria. Some have ventured further afield to the Siwa oasis, where Alexander was declared the son of a god. However, there's no historical evidence to support a tomb there, and recent claims of its discovery have been dismissed by experts as more interested in boosting tourism than historical accuracy. The search for Alexander's tomb takes another unexpected turn, this time heading back to his homeland Macedon. After all, it was originally supposed to be his final resting place. One possibility emerged in 1977 with the discovery of an ancient tomb at Aigai, which is modern-day Vagina, Greece. The excitement was real, fueled by artifacts dating back to Alexander's time. However, the plot twist. The tomb belonged to none other than Alexander's father, Philip II. While not exactly Alexander, it's certainly the closest archaeologists have come, minus the actual conqueror himself. Another hopeful candidate, the Castor tomb discovered in 2012 at Amphipolis, also turned out to be a dead end. No remains of Alexander were found, and the artifacts pointed away from any connection to him. So it seems Egypt remains the front runner in the tomb hunt. Or does it? Enter archaeologist Andrew Chugg with a bold theory. Alexander might be in Venice under the mistaken identity of St. Mark the Evangelist. Hold on, you might be thinking, how can that be? Well, here's the twist. Traditionally, St. Mark, credited with writing the Gospel of Mark, was believed to have been martyred in Alexandria around 60 CE, with his body destroyed by fire. However, a curious twist emerged. A 4th century text claiming otherwise turned out to be a 6th century forgery. Then, in 392 CE, St. Jerome's writings mention St. Mark's body being present in Alexandria. Here's the suspicious part. This miraculous reappearance happens right after the Theodosian decrees forced the closure of pagan temples, including the possible destruction of Alexander's tomb. Coincidence? Maybe, but Alexandria is a big city, but there's more. The supposed tomb of St. Mark lies near the modern St. Mark's Coptic Orthodox Cathedral, conveniently situated just 200 meters north of the suspected location of Alexander's tomb. So we have Alexander vanishing around 390 CE as pagan sites were shutting down. Then, poof, St. Mark's body appears in the same area just 2 years later, despite centuries of claiming it was destroyed. Chugg doesn't stop at just proposing a wild theory. He also offers some intriguing evidence to back it up. He suggests that Alexander's tomb was simply given a makeover during the Theodosian decrees to avoid destruction, transforming into the tomb of St. Mark. Here's where things get even more interesting. Venetian merchants, apparently unaware of the switcheroo, supposedly stole these St. Mark remains in the 9th century, smuggling them out of Alexandria and eventually building a church in Venice to house them, the present-day Basilica di San Marco. The timing and location of these disappearances and reappearances are certainly suggestive, but Chugg goes a step further. During renovations of the basilica in the 1960s, a peculiar piece of stone carving was found. The stone originated from the Eastern Mediterranean and depicted imagery strongly linked to Alexander's Macedonian heritage, a shield with his royal house's star and a special spear used by his army. Recent analysis suggests this fragment was part of a sarcophagus casing, but its size didn't match any known sarcophagi in the basilica or any Macedonian artifacts. However, it did match one specific sarcophagus perfectly, Nectanebo II's, down to the millimeter. Chugg argues that this piece is proof the Venetians unknowingly took a chunk of Alexander's actual tomb when they stole the supposed remains of St. Mark. Intriguing, right? Reviewing the evidence, Chugg's theory, while seemingly outlandish, starts to make a surprising amount of sense. It connects several previously puzzling dots in the long search for Alexander's tomb. According to Chugg, Alexander was initially buried in Nectanebo II's sarcophagus in Memphis. Then both the body and the sarcophagus were moved to the Soma. The Ptolemies even built a special casing for the sarcophagus to protect it for centuries. The tomb remained undisturbed for over 700 years until the Theodosian decrees forced its transformation into a Christian monument dedicated to St. Mark to escape religious persecution. Alexander's body vanished at the same time and place where St. Mark supposedly appeared, and local memory of Alexander's tomb being nearby persisted despite the fabricated story of St. Mark. Fast forward centuries later, the Venetians, believing they were taking the remains of their patron saint, stole the body and a chunk of the Ptolemaic casing. Back in Alexandria, the empty sarcophagus ended up in the Atarine Mosque, where its connection to Alexander's burial was somehow remembered. So, if Chugg's theory holds water, the famous tomb of Alexander the Great might still be buried beneath the streets of Alexandria, roughly where local legends and archaeological studies have pointed all along. However, Alexander himself has likely been gone for over 1,000 years, possibly resting, ironically, within the Basilica di San Marco, mistaken for a saint. Unfortunately, confirming this theory would require examining the remains in Venice, something the Catholic Church and the city are unlikely to allow anytime soon, leaving the debate unresolved for the foreseeable future. The ancient underwater city of Alexandria, located at the mouth of the Nile River in Egypt, is a treasure trove of archaeological wonders and historical insights. Founded by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE, it quickly rose to become the cultural and economic hub of the ancient world. However, parts of this legendary city succumbed to the sea due to earthquakes and tsunamis over centuries. Diving into the depths of the Mediterranean, Frank Goddio and his team's exploration of Alexandria's underwater ruins stands as a testament to human curiosity and technological prowess. The discovery of this ancient city submerged beneath the sea intertwines the grand narratives of history, technology, and myth, offering a window into one of antiquity's greatest civilizations. The use of state-of-the-art technology, including submersible robots and sophisticated sonar mapping, marks a significant evolution in underwater archaeology, reminiscent of the groundbreaking exploration of the Titanic wreck. Yet, while the Titanic's discovery opened the deep sea to archaeologists, Goddio's project breathed life back into ancient urban landscapes, showcasing the advancements in archaeological methods. The preservation of artifacts and structures found underwater presents unique challenges, starkly contrasting with those encountered in the preservation of the Dead Sea Scrolls. The saltwater environment of Alexandria erodes materials over time, demanding innovative solutions for conservation, highlighting the diverse challenges archaeologists face based on the context of their discoveries. The uncovering of the royal quarters and temples in Alexandria offers unparalleled insights into the Ptolemaic dynasty's architectural and cultural grandeur, drawing comparisons to the discovery of Pompeii. However, Alexandria reveals its secrets from beneath the waves, providing a unique lens through which to view ancient urban planning and religious practices. When compared to other ancient submerged cities like Baiae or Pavlopetri, Alexandria's ruins underscore the city's cosmopolitan nature, standing as a testament to its role as a center of commerce, culture, and knowledge. Alexandria's position as a cultural and economic hub in the ancient world is further emphasized by the diversity of artifacts found, echoing the melting pot of cultures found in Silk Road cities like Samarkand. The discovery of remnants believed to be part of the Pharos Lighthouse, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, underscores Alexandria's advanced engineering and pivotal role in ancient navigation, much like the Great Wall of China's significance in its own civilization. The successful exploration of Alexandria's underwater ruins not only advances our understanding of ancient civilizations, but also inspires further technological innovation in underwater archaeology. This quest to uncover the past mirrors how the space race propelled aerospace technology, demonstrating the impact of historical exploration on modern advancement. Moreover, the cultural resonance of these discoveries, akin to the fascination sparked by the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb, highlights the enduring allure of Egypt's ancient civilizations. Exhibitions of artifacts from Alexandria's underwater ruins have captured the global public imagination. Delving into the depths of the Mediterranean, the underwater excavations of Alexandria have unveiled treasures that paint a vivid picture of a city steeped in glory and history. Among the ruins and relics, a myriad of statues, sphinxes, and architectural marvels whisper tales of ancient Alexandria's cultural and artistic zenith. One of the most breathtaking discoveries is a giant statue believed to depict Ptolemy II, an emblem of the fusion between Hellenistic and Egyptian influences that characterize the Ptolemaic dynasty. Crafted from red granite, this colossal figure stands as a bridge between two worlds, reminiscent of the grand colossi of Memnon in Luxor, Egypt, and underscoring the tradition of monumental sculpture that flourished in ancient Egyptian culture. The seabed also revealed sphinxes and statues of Egyptian gods and goddesses, These findings not only highlight the Ptolemies' efforts to weave together their Greek heritage with the rich tapestry of Egyptian religious symbolism. The sphinxes, majestic with their lion bodies and human heads, serve as symbols of the ruler's wisdom and power, reflecting the broader narrative of Greek and Egyptian cultural intermingling. Furthermore, the recovery of architectural fragments from Alexandria's waters provides a window into the city's architectural prowess and urban planning. Columns, capitals, and friezes bear witness to a city where Egyptian, Greek, and Roman influences converged, creating a unique aesthetic that mirrored Alexandria's identity as a melting pot of civilizations. This aspect of the discoveries draws parallels with the archaeological finds in ancient Rome, where a similar amalgamation of architectural styles speaks to a rich, interconnected Mediterranean world. The excavation also brought to light an assortment of pottery and jewelry, offering glimpses into the daily lives, trade, and artistic expressions of Alexandria's denizens. The variety of pottery, from utilitarian domestic vessels to elaborately decorated ceremonial pieces, suggests a society of complex social strata and diverse needs. Meanwhile, the jewelry, gold earrings, necklaces, and rings, often embellished with precious stones, underscores Alexandria's affluence and its pivotal role in the trade networks that crisscrossed the Mediterranean. These artifacts not only reveal the city's artistic flair, but also its connections to a wider world. Through these discoveries, the underwater ruins of Alexandria continue to fascinate and enlighten, offering a mosaic of insights into one of antiquity's most magnificent cities. When divers stumbled upon a shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901, little did they know they were about to uncover one of the most astonishing artifacts of the ancient world, the Antikythera mechanism. Often hailed as the world's first analog computer, this device, dating back to around 100 BCE, is a marvel of ancient engineering and scientific knowledge. With its intricate system of over 30 bronze gears housed in a wooden frame, the mechanism was designed to predict lunar and solar eclipses, track the cycles of the Olympic Games, and model the moon's complex orbit, showcasing a level of technological sophistication that seems centuries ahead of its time. But what's truly fascinating about the Antikythera mechanism isn't just its complexity and precision. It also served as an astronomical and calendar device, capable of calculating the positions of the sun, moon, and perhaps even the planets. It featured dials for the zodiac and solar calendar, embedding celestial phenomena within the fabric of timekeeping in ancient Greek society. Inscriptions on the device acted as a user guide, revealing a profound understanding of astronomy and mathematics among its creators and users. While the origins of this extraordinary artifact remain speculative, many believe its connection to Alexandria isn't far-fetched. Known as the intellectual beacon of the Hellenistic world, Alexandria was home to the legendary library and the museum, a research institution that attracted scholars like Euclid, Hero, and Archimedes. Their contributions to mathematics, physics, and engineering could very well have influenced the creation of the Antikythera mechanism, suggesting it may have originated from this vibrant scientific community. In fact, some scholars posit that the principles behind the mechanism could have been inspired by Archimedes himself, although he lived earlier than the device's estimated creation date. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism in a shipwreck hints at the extensive trade networks and cultural exchanges of the time, linking Alexandria with other Greek locales, including Antikythera. Such connections likely facilitated the spread of technological and scientific knowledge across the Mediterranean. The legacy of the Antikythera mechanism extends far beyond its historical and archaeological significance. It stands as a testament to the technological achievements of the ancient Greeks, challenging our perceptions of ancient technology and highlighting their sophisticated understanding of mechanical devices. Modern scientists and engineers have drawn inspiration from this ancient marvel, leading to new discoveries about ancient science and technology, and even the development of replicas using ancient techniques. Ongoing research, employing advanced imaging techniques, continues to unveil the secrets of the Antikythera mechanism, offering insights not just into the device itself, but also into the scientific and cultural milieu of the Hellenistic period. Through the lens of this remarkable artifact, we gain a deeper appreciation for the ingenuity of the ancient world, particularly the pivotal role played by Alexandria in fostering a legacy of innovation and knowledge that continues to inspire to this day.
Are we looking at the traces of a forgotten episode in human history? I think so. I think that's what's going on here.
Would it be fair to say that there's an element of a rediscovery of a
Yes.
lost technology from the past?
I think it would be fair to say that, yes.
Have you ever wondered about the legend of King Gilgamesh and the ancient city he ruled? Let's dive into a time machine and head back to around 2700 BCE, right into the heart of Mesopotamian civilization, during what scholars call the early dynastic period.
I would prefer to propose, and I have proposed, that what we're looking at is evidence of some kind of transfer of technology, that people came into that area who had other knowledge.
This was an era when city-states were popping up all over Mesopotamia, marking some of the earliest complex societies in human history. And right there, in the thick of it, was Gilgamesh, a name that echoes through history not just as a king but as a figure of myth and epic tales. Gilgamesh's realm was none other than Uruk, a jewel among the Sumerian city-states, nestled in the fertile lands along the Euphrates River in what we now know as modern-day Iraq.
This is a very neglected area of the world as far as deep and ancient archaeology goes.
Picture this, a bustling urban center alive with the hum of marketplaces, the grandeur of massive temple complexes, and the imposing presence of the legendary Uruk wall, said to be built by Gilgamesh himself.
It's interesting that the patterns are geometrical. Someone made it,
Yeah.
and it involved a very large amount of organized labor in order to make it. There had to be the will and the intent in order to do that.
Uruk wasn't just any city. It was a beacon of culture, economy, and innovation, credited with many firsts in human civilization, including the invention of cuneiform writing. But what was life like under King Gilgamesh's rule? Imagine a leader who was more than just a man. He was a figure of divine significance, believed to be responsible for the welfare and prosperity of his people. Under his leadership, Uruk flourished, becoming a center for religious devotion, particularly for the worship of Inanna, a major deity in the Sumerian pantheon. Gilgamesh's Uruk was a city that represented the zenith of Sumerian engineering, architecture, and social organization, boasting a population that highlighted its status as one of the world's largest cities at the time. During his reign, Gilgamesh would have been the linchpin in the city's governance, overseeing administrative decisions, religious practices, and military campaigns to safeguard Uruk's interests. His leadership likely saw the construction of monumental projects that not only enhanced the city's splendor, but also its defenses, ensuring Uruk's prominence in the annals of ancient history.
If we're only looking for a mere reflection of ourselves, we could overlook it completely. I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the things that our ancient ancestors were up to.
Diving into the sands of time, the figure of King Gilgamesh stands as a fascinating blend of myth and reality, a character who has intrigued historians and archaeologists alike. While the line between the legendary and the historical is often blurred, there's a handful of archaeological breadcrumbs that lead us back to the possibility of Gilgamesh's actual existence in ancient Mesopotamian civilizations. First off, let's talk about the Sumerian king list. This isn't your average historical document. It's more like a mashup of history and mythology, listing rulers of Sumer and their reign lengths. What's cool about this list is that our guy Gilgamesh makes an appearance. His name popping up among other rulers gives us a hint that maybe, just maybe, he was a real figure who ruled, and wasn't just a character in ancient bedtime stories. The fact that there are several versions of this list, found in different places and from various times, shows that keeping track of their leaders was pretty important to the Sumerians, and that Gilgamesh was a significant part of that record. Then there are the inscriptions and artifacts. Imagine finding a tablet or a cylinder seal with Gilgamesh's name carved into it. These bits and pieces don't give us the full picture of his reign, but do suggest he was recognized as a king. These items, scattered across ancient Sumerian sites like breadcrumbs, hint at the long-lasting memory of Gilgamesh, underlining his status not just as a myth but as a cultural icon. But here's where it gets tricky. Trying to separate the man from the myth in Gilgamesh's story is like trying to untangle a finely knotted rope. The archaeological evidence we have doesn't lay out his life story or list his achievements in detail. Instead, it teases us with glimpses, leaving us wondering about the reality of his reign. This scarcity of clear-cut historical records makes Gilgamesh an enigmatic figure, shrouded in the mists of time. Despite these challenges, the evidence we do have is precious. It bridges the gap between legend and history, suggesting that Gilgamesh might have been more than just a character in an epic tale. Diving into the ancient world, let's explore one of the oldest stories ever told, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Picture this: clay tablets etched with cuneiform, the very first writing system cooked up by the ingenious Sumerians. This epic isn't just a tale, it's a journey back to the 3rd dynasty of Ur, around 2100 BCE, though its roots stretch back even further through earlier Sumerian poems about our hero Gilgamesh. The story of Gilgamesh came to light in the modern era thanks to 19th century archaeologists rummaging through the ruins of Nineveh's library. Imagine piecing together a jigsaw puzzle of ancient clay fragments, each piece a window into the epic's soul-stirring narrative. Sure, some parts are missing, lost to time, but what remains is a testament to human creativity and spirit. Now on to Gilgamesh himself. This guy was not your average ancient king. Described as 2/3 god and 1/3 human, he was a force to be reckoned with. His divine lineage gave him superhuman strength and courage, setting him leagues apart from mere mortals and even other mythical heroes. The epic's narrative is a roller coaster of adventures and quests, showcasing Gilgamesh's thirst for glory and eternal fame. Take his trek to the cedar forest to defeat Humbaba, for example. It's the stuff of legends, a clear display of his heroism. Yet it's the death of his friend Enkidu that turns his world upside down, launching him on a quest for immortality and leading him to confront the harsh truth of human mortality. Speaking of Enkidu, his friendship with Gilgamesh is nothing short of transformative. Enkidu, created by the gods from the wild to temper Gilgamesh's arrogance, ends up becoming his soulmate. Their bond is a powerful narrative force, illustrating how deep connections can foster personal growth and lead to profound realizations about life and oneself. At its core, the Epic of Gilgamesh is rich with themes that resonate deeply with the human experience. It's a tale of the relentless search for fame and the universal quest for immortality, only to find that death is an inescapable part of life. The story underscores the importance of friendship and how it shapes our journey towards understanding and accepting our humanity. In the whirlwind adventure that is the Epic of Gilgamesh, we're treated to some of the most captivating encounters between a mortal and the divine you'll find anywhere in ancient literature. Gilgamesh's quest is not just a tale of heroism and the search for eternal life, it's a deep dive into the complex dance between gods and humans in Mesopotamian culture. Take, for instance, Gilgamesh's meeting with Utnapishtim, the ancient world's version of Noah. Imagine sitting down with someone who survived a world-ending flood, all because a god gave him the heads up to build a boat. This isn't just an incredible survival story, it's a pivotal moment for Gilgamesh. He's on a quest for immortality, and here's Utnapishtim, living proof that the gods can grant such a wish. The story of the Great Flood, where the gods decide to reboot humanity but spare Utnapishtim, mirrors the power the Anunnaki wield in Mesopotamian myths, making life and death decisions over humanity's fate. Gilgamesh's journey is peppered with divine interactions that really make you think about the ancient Mesopotamian view of the cosmos. There's Enkidu, Gilgamesh's partner in crime, who was literally made by a goddess because the gods felt Gilgamesh needed to tone it down a bit. Then there's Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, who doesn't take rejection well. After Gilgamesh turns her down, she sends a celestial bull to Rakshop as payback. And let's not forget about Humbaba, the fearsome guardian of the cedar forest, appointed by the god Enlil. Gilgamesh and Enkidu's battle with Humbaba isn't just an epic fight scene, it's a narrative about human ambition clashing with divine intent. Throughout his quests, Gilgamesh keeps in touch with the sun god Shamash, who's like a divine mentor, offering guidance and support. It's fascinating to see this godly figure taking an active interest in Gilgamesh's endeavors. Even Gilgamesh's mom, Ninsun, gets in on the divine action. Though she's more of a minor goddess, her interventions on her son's behalf highlight the intimate relationship between the gods and Gilgamesh, blurring the lines between the celestial and the terrestrial. Heading back into mesmerizing world of ancient Mesopotamia, and you'll encounter the Anunnaki, a group of deities whose stories weave through the heart of Sumerian and Akkadian mythology. These mythologies, among the oldest in human history, share a fascinating pantheon of gods, with the Anunnaki holding a special place. Interestingly, over time, some Anunnaki began to be associated with celestial bodies, This transition highlights their growing significance in Mesopotamian astrology and cosmology, where the movements of stars and planets were seen as divine messages. The identification of certain Anunnaki with the Sun, Moon, and Venus, for example, lent these celestial bodies a sacred significance, connecting the dots between the heavens and the divine drama of the gods.